Hello everyone, it's Ashwin Rao. In today's video, I'm bringing us back to this beautiful pair of shell Cordovan engineer boots from new yet growing in reputation bootmaker Peter Q. This is a pair that I've now had for several weeks and I wanted to update you on wear here. I have been using a variety of care products, including some of my pure polish products, specifically their shell Cordovan paste, which is right here, the shell Cordovan cream paste that I love for the care of shell Cordovan. I also use a little bit of high shine for the tips here and a little bit of the old Saphir Medal Noir, which I use occasionally when I really want to shine things up. And then I occasionally have been applying a bit of the Peter Q included shoe cream, which is of the same color, this cigar shell, as the shoes themselves. This is a beautiful boot that you can see is wearing rather nicely. What can I say right off the bat? So most of you are going to ask about, well, how does this fit and how's it been aging? Fit has been great. I feel like the fit was true to size. I didn't really have to do too much to adjust things. Peter does include a couple of inserts, like a couple of leather thin inserts that you can put in there to the footbed and adjust the fit a little bit. And I did put both of those inserts in. I did swap out and try a couple of other kind of thicker inserts to see if they may be helpful, but I found that the leather inserts that Peter himself included were perfect for adjusting the fit. The pass-through, which is one of the big bugaboos for many engineer boots, it's what turned me off to brands like John Lofgren, where I just couldn't get my foot into the boot without, giving myself a hernia. This pass-through is incredibly easy. It slides in and slides out. And I was really worried about how, dense this firm version of shell Cordovan is and how easy it would be to put my foot in if it weren't very forgiving in terms of the fit. But thank you, Peter, for creating a shoe with a nice pass-through. Despite the fact that it seems to have a nice and narrow waist here, it goes on easy and stays on put. You have to have a good pair of socks to fit so that the socks don't start to fall down your ankle as the traction of wearing these shoes starts to want to pull that sock down. So over the calf socks are highly recommended, and those that will stay over the calf, because if you end up having the sock drop below the line of the shoe, you do get some kind of uncomfortable friction up top here, where some of these elements here, which are fine, but they're just stiff because they're shell Cordovan, kind of can cause some chafing. Let's talk a little bit about this shell Cordovan. So initially in my video review, I said that this shell was very reminiscent to me of Horween shell Cordovan. I don't know if it's really that reminiscent of Horween shell. I think they are different beasts. They have a different temper and a different handle. I would call this a little stiffer, maybe a little bit more plasticky feeling, I guess, would be the way to put it. It's not as supple and soft hand feeling as shell Cordovan is from Horween. What that stiffness does is that when you have areas of higher wear, this shell, which was actually born as a crust shell Cordovan, that crust character starts to come out. And so you can start to see lightning spots where that over dye, which is hand done, starts to kind of wear through. So if I had not used this cream to reapply as part of maintenance of care of the shell, you would probably see more lightning in the areas of leather or Cordovan creasing, or should I say rolling? It's not really creasing. Speaking of that, this shell does not really crease. It does roll, which I love. I have shoe trees in here. I always wear shoe trees. Otherwise, you would see little bits of roll kind of across the top right here and here. And on this other pair across the top here. So I've debated whether or not to continue to apply that cream or just to use more natural based color creams to kind of bring out that character. And if you go on my Instagram, you'll see a couple examples of what a shoe might look like over the course of a day when that rolling essentially causes some of the over dye to core, almost would be a good way to put it, although you can restore it if you want with the cream. Well, this is a domestic Chinese shell Cordovan. I talked to Peter about it and he said, yep, that's what they're using for their international orders It's a crust shell that then they hand dye in the various colors that they offer. But as a result of that hand dyeing process, they can actually, if you contact them, essentially apply different colorways should you want more of the rare shell look to your shoes. So like he has features on his Instagram showing like marbled shell Cordovan paint jobs. He even has some cherry or kind of color 2 style colors. And so just know that there's some options there if you want. Other things I will say is that this leather footbed is very robust. It is very supportive, has a slight bit of arch support, but not a tremendous amount of arch support, but enough to feel comfortable and not feel like it's a totally flat footbed. This heel block is very rugged and robust and has held up well. I've worn this pair probably about 7 or 8 times over the past few weeks, and you can see that the shell has developed some character as a result of that wear. But I've been intentionally trying to keep the burn slow, meaning that I'm trying to age this gracefully. But the heel blocks are working out quite well, and if you look at the wear on the heel, there's not really that much wear on the heel here. It's actually just a little bit of heel drag that you can see there. The recessed stitching on the upper and the traction otherwise feels like it's going to hold up really well. So these Peter Q branded rubber sole pads are pretty darn good. I'm happy with them. They provide good traction over time. That finish can actually go from shiny to matte. You can still see a fair bit of shine here because I have chosen to apply shine, but I know others who have decided to say, you know what, I'm going to forego the shine and let this age, and it will become more of a matte color because of the way that the wax kind of wears off. But if you want, you can reshine it really easily with the cream and your Cordovan creams from whichever maker you wish. In my case, Pure Polish Products is the way I go. And the leather and the patina on this potential is very, very high. You can see how the leather just plays off. If I were to move the light a little bit, you can see the various curves and changes that this leather is already undergoing, despite my best ability to try to keep things gently aging. It's actually the boot that I've gotten by far the most compliments and comments about over the past few weeks that I've owned them and worn them regularly. Every time I put them on, somebody says, wow, look at those boots. Look at how shiny, look at how beautiful, look at that rich color, look at how the color plays through. Just look at the roll. Very satisfied with Peter Q's Engineer. I think that this is going to be a long-term staple in my library. I forgot to mention how nice this rounded last with a little bit of toe bump really is stylistically. It fits super comfortably. It is just a beautiful design. However you cut it, it just has a really beautiful profile, and I've been very happy with the last as well. Made in China, small group of craftspeople, led by a very knowledgeable entrepreneur who is essentially making everything in shell. Super cool, super nice. I'm looking forward to getting another pair from him in the near future to just check out other colorways and other styles and see how those styles are executed, because I think this is a brand well worthy of the attention, well worthy of your feet getting put in them. And if you are looking for a pair of shell Cordovan boots but don't want to pay $2,000 or $3,000 or more, probably this pair would cost about $3,000 from another maker, then think about Peter, because you can access that quality at a much lower price point. Peter Q, my friends, give Peter a look for your shell Cordovan needs. Have a good one. Take care and goodbye.